So we're going to explore this idea of hierarchy of movement in Battletech. And these are some Tactica checklists that I'm pushing out there. Questions to ask, a game plan, a battle plan as you build your lance, as the mission objectives unfold on the table, and as you engage your opponent with your mechs versus their mechs, trying to push up, in addition to navigating the mission and the terrain, ideally what is most important for each weight class. And we're going to be exploring light mechs, medium mechs, and I'm going to put heavy and assault mechs into the same group. Yes, absolutely. There is a tremendous difference between the lower tonnage heavy mechs versus the higher tonnage assault mechs. But that window is somewhat narrow, so we're going to put them together. So as a light mech, the most important thing in terms of movement, and all of this this kind of hierarchy looks at moving and then shooting. What is most important most of the time? With a light mech, the most important thing is to always keep moving. To always keep moving, push out the maximum hex range that you can utilize on there. Be careful with a light mech because light mechs often can move so much, so fast. I mean, yes, there's examples like the Panther or slower mechs. We're talking overall. It's easy to use movement points to turn, to pivot, to kind of really move through close, tight areas. And while you can move very fast around things, the actual hexes traveled would be much, much smaller. Maybe what a medium mech would do, maybe even what a heavy mech would do in terms of overall hex movement. That means when your opponent is shooting at you, your modifiers, your movement modifiers are much lower. So the best thing that you can do is to always put movement first on there. Straight out, flat out as best you can. Shooting is secondary because, well, the light mechs don't have the armor. So what's going to protect you is the physical speed and trying to stay at medium to long range bands. So this way, when your opponent shoots, they've got their walk or run modifier, they've got the hex modifiers, they've got the range modifier. Ideally, if we can throw up some terrain modifiers also, that would be ideal. But utilizing that, that's what protects your light mech. Shots are secondary, and light mechs really don't have the redundancy, usually, although the Jenner does, but look at something like the Locust. Most light mechs have, for their primary weapon, a medium laser. Maybe as a secondary weapon, some missiles, short-range missiles, or maybe an LRM 5-pack just because of the tonnage on there. Maybe you've got some machine guns. Maybe you've got a brace of smaller lasers on there. You're not firing with a lot. So if you're moving and you're at medium to long range and you need 10s, 11s, or 12s to hit, you're only really shooting one thing. So absolutely, number one importance is to always keep moving, and shooting is secondary. Now we push into medium mechs with the hierarchy of movement on there. Medium mechs have this duality of you've got a little more armor, you've got a little bit more armor. You now start to have multiple complementing weapons or weapons across a wide spectrum on there. What I mean by that, the two classic mechs that I love, the Griffin and the Shadowhawk stock, the Griffin has the long-range missiles and the PPC. They complement each other with range. That's got some bite. That's 10 points of damage. That's the spread on the missiles, 10 on the PPC. We want to utilize that. So certainly shooting is important. But secondary to that, your movement is also important because we don't want to really get tagged by heavy or assault mechs on there. Light mechs, look, we never really want to get shot by anything, but am I really that worried if this is when you take the headshot in the game and you pass out on that consciousness pilot check, right? But if there's a Locust and I'm engaging you, am I really that worried about the medium laser? Or even if it's a variant that's got a little bit more of a bite, the Locusts that I play on a side note, I'm forgetting the designation right now, but it's the medium laser and the two short-range, 2 missile packs on there. That puts a little bit of bite into the bug on there. So with medium mechs, and the Shadowhawk, of course, having multiple weapons at a little bit of damage at each range, we want to shoot those. So I'm looking to move, yes, I'm looking to move as fast as I can, always with a medium mech, maximum number of hexes, but I'm willing to cut down that movement modifier a little bit if it helps me engage and hit with my weapons, because now you start seeing some weapon bite on medium mechs. Hierarchy of movement, heavy mechs. Assault mechs, weapons are primary. Weapons are primary. And again, we don't want to get shot at, but you've got some armor. You know, look at something like the Warhammer. Look at the Battlemaster. Look at some of the classic mechs that are out there. Look at the Grasshopper. Look at the Victor. Even something like, you don't really see it much on the table, like the Goliath on there. You've got armor, so you could take a round or two of shooting on there, but you also have weapon redundancy. You've got a PPC. You've got long-range missiles. You've got a brace of 2 or 3 or 4 medium lasers. At close-in work, you've got smaller lasers. You've got multiple short-range missile packs. The primary thing is bringing these weapons to bear, cutting down your modifiers as little as possible, and firing away on there. On a side note, we explored some ideas with utilizing the Marauder. I love the Marauder. It's a classic mech. It's a lot of fun to play. It does have heat issues, but then again, Inner Sphere, Succession Era, a lot of stuff does. The Marauder on the way in, as it's marching in, I'm going to fire a PPC. I'm going to fire an autocannon on there, but I'm going to keep heat low. When I get into position, meaning once I've zeroed in on a target and I can begin to engage it at medium range, my medium range on there, then I actually don't want to move at all. So ideally, I'm going to try and get into some light woods or maybe something blocking my legs to absorb any shots. But I'm going to get into position as a heavy mech. I'm not going to move because now at least I don't have that +1 or +2 for walking. I'm cutting down the modifiers. +1 or +2 is a big deal on there. I can't control your movement modifiers, how fast you move with your hexes, but that's this idea of with a heavy or an assault mech. Once you get into your fire select position and you're there, you don't want to move. You want to cut down all of your modifiers as possible. If you can catch your opponent out in the open, like on some of the classic grassland maps, even better on there. And then you're just going to shoot, you're going to shoot, you're going to shoot, you're going to do that. So the hierarchy of movement for assault mechs is the exact converse. It's the exact opposite, the mirror opposite of a light mech. Movement is secondary. Firing weapons is primary. That's the checklist I ask myself. Now, of course, this is just a guide. There's going to be times tactically when the rules need to be broken, right? Maybe I'm playing that Locust and I run up behind the Battlemaster. Well, actually, Battlemaster's got some rear lasers. That's a bad choice. I run up behind the Warhammer on there, your Warhammer. I don't want that Warhammer to turn around, but at least for this turn, it's not. Then, you know what? I don't want to move. I want to keep all those modifiers really, really down because I'm going to get rear armor. So at that point, shooting the machine guns and the medium laser, if it's stock, if it's the variant, I want to shoot those short-range missiles. I want to shoot that medium laser. That is where you override things. So there are going to be times where you override. You're having a delaying action with your Battlemaster. You're in a good spot. But now a Warhammer and 2 Hunchbacks are coming up. You got their attention. They're pissed. They're coming at you. Those are odds I don't want to fight. So at that point, it flips where the movement becomes a lot more important than the shooting. So it is going to happen. But in the beginning Battletech, as you play, as you explore, as you move, I find these checklists to be helpful to at least steer you in the best possible tactical situation.